Do you love spending hours tracking down order confirmations, chasing freight updates, and logging into hundreds of different trade accounts? Yeah, me either. That's why I joined Daniel House Club, a wholesale purchasing platform built exclusively for interior design trade professionals. With one login, one checkout, and one point of contact, you get access to hundreds of vendors without the back-end chaos. Their concierge team handles the logistics, order tracking, vendor communication, problem solving, so you can focus on design, not paperwork. For our full-service projects, Daniel House Club has become an essential partner. Instead of hiring an additional staff member just to manage procurement, we rely on Daniel House Club to do the heavy lifting. And here's what surprised me. Our designer for day clients love it too. We can source everything during our session, send them a customized cart link, and they can place the order directly, turning what used to be just a consultation into an additional revenue stream for our business. After seeing how much time and money it saved us, I upgraded to the Signature membership for deeper discounts, faster support, and a dedicated concierge who truly feels like part of our team. I love partnering with Daniel House Club because their mission aligns so closely with ours at Designers Oasis, helping interior designers run smarter, more profitable businesses. For a limited time, Daniel House Club is offering Designers Oasis podcast listeners 15% off a Signature membership. Head over to danielhouse.club/DO and use code DO2026 at checkout. Again, that's danielhouse.club/DO and use code DO2026 at checkout. You are right where you are, period. Your journey's different than the person next to you.
Yeah.
And something has led you to this moment. There has been something stirring inside of you, a little fire that is starting to be tended to. And there's a real drive to do this. In this case, we're talking to interior designers and being able to have this creative practice. What led you here? What are the signs that have pointed you here? You're not here by accident. You're here because you have a gift that you are wanting to share with others. Are you going to let a piece of paper that, be the thing that keeps you from taking that right next step? Welcome to the Designers Oasis podcast, a space for interior designers who are ready to define success on their own terms. Whether that means running a firm at scale or building a boutique business that fits your life. I'm Kate Bendewald, interior designer, CEO, and mom, and I'm joined by my co-host and Designers Oasis community manager, Becca Meyer. Together, we're here to help you redefine success in a way that actually aligns with your values and your skill set. If you're ready to stop square peg round holing yourself into someone else's version of success, you're in the right place. And because we know you're more than just one thing, we talk about it all. Interior design business, parenting, mental health, wellness, and mindset. All the behind-the-scenes realities of building a business that supports your life, not the other way around. No formulas, no one-size-fits-all advice. Just honest conversations, thoughtful perspective shifts, and practical guidance to help you build your business that feels sustainable and truly yours. Thanks for being here. Hi, Kate. Hi, Becca. Welcome back to Designers Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Kate Bendewald, here with my beautiful friend and co-host and membership community manager.
Yep.
Mrs. Or is it Mrs.? Miss.
Well,
Mrs.
I mean,
You're
Becca,
married.
so-
Becca.
Yes.
This is Becca Meyer. I feel like you have principal vibes, so I need to call you Mrs. Becca Meyer. Well, hi. We're here today to talk about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Remember last time we met, we were talking, what were we talking about? We were talking about creativity, nurturing creativity. So
Yes.
if you missed that episode, great episode. A little bit of banter may have happened, but it was all good. I hope you came along for the ride. But we started to touch on this idea of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Which is something that people, designers, women often say they have.
Yes, I've said it many times.
Yes, and I'm here to maybe challenge this idea that we need to be saying this about ourselves. So I'm ready to get into it. I want to start with this question. Becca, tell me about a time, or can you think about a time where you feel like you experienced imposter syndrome and maybe it kept you from making critical decisions or moving forward with something? Tell me about that.
Yes. So I certainly experienced some imposter syndrome in my earlier on in my career. I shared earlier in the episodes that I was a teacher and then a teacher coach and a principal. And that wasn't ever my goal. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher. But to kind of move up and be a principal, it kind of happened over time. People seeing that I had skill
naturally
sets.
And obviously, they said everyone around her.
And so I often would have imposter syndrome that I didn't have all of the degrees that people had that were also sitting in my seat, that I didn't necessarily have the background. I came through to teaching through Teach for America, which is a great program, but it was not a traditional college experience either for teachers. So kind of didn't have the same background. And I think that while I was really excited that people saw such promise in me, there were times in which I would hear other principals talking about kind of all of these things that they had learned along the way. And it really made me feel like, oh, maybe I don't belong here. Like maybe I don't have that, like the right background to have a seat at the table. And I think that it did hold me back sometimes from having the confidence to like quickly make some decisions, made me kind of second guess things. I think in the first episode, I talked a little bit about like how I would think differently maybe than other people and thinking outside of the box. So kind of pairing that with not having the same educational background would make me feel like maybe I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I think that lots of women, are still figuring out where their place in kind of higher levels of leadership are.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which is says more about the society where we live versus our own internal struggles.
Yeah. Takes work to push against that for mostly for women mostly.
Yeah.
Now
society. When you look back at that time,
does
it make sense now that you've had some, like, are you able to see now why you were poised for that position?
Yes, I think so. I think, but you have to actively think about it. I think I have to actively think about it,
Sure.
And really like critically think through it because I still have feelings creep up.
Well, I have had, I would say, an evolution of how I feel about that word in particular, imposter syndrome. I've talked about this before, but there's a really great article by the Harvard Business Review. I pulled up her name earlier, but I forgot it. There's two women who authored this article for the review, and the title of it was Stop Telling Women That They Have Imposter Syndrome. And what they were really trying to point out was that by using this word syndrome, specifically the word syndrome, we are pathologizing women, which is something we've historically done to women. It's that there's something wrong with you specifically versus, we don't actually live in a society that is designed to help support you. Thinking specifically about women and their place in the workplace and childbirthing and all that, you've growing families and all of that. They make a point that the workplace hasn't always been really friendly for helping women get ahead, so that when you do get that seat at the table, it can feel really uncomfortable and like you don't belong there, when actually you really fucking belong there. Yeah. You're much needed there and your voice is really important there. And so this became this, I would say, battle cry for workplaces to say, we need to make workplaces more conducive to supporting women. So anyway, that specific article I took to heart. I really started to see it differently. She suggested that we start to use the word imposter phenomena.
Okay.
to better describe it. That's a lot of syllables for me, though. So, but here's kind of where I've gone to now that has been even, I think, further evolution for myself, which is that I have 100% experienced imposter feelings. I think that's kind of the terminology that feels better, is like, okay, that's a feeling. It's temporary. I mean, we've heard Michelle Obama when she's in the White House talking about how she had imposter feelings. Viola Davis. I mean, incredibly successful, powerful, influential women saying that they've had these same experiences too. So I think to some degree it's very normal. But here's the thing that I've been starting to sort of feel itchy about hearing. So in the Designers Oasis membership, we have monthly coaching and office hours. And it's, I think, every month there's somebody there where there's an issue or there's a problem or a challenge or they're stuck on something. And it boils down to this idea of imposter syndrome. So we have these conversations quite a bit. We talk about it quite a bit. And ultimately, where I would like to see us involved, too, myself included, is that we kind of call bullshit on it, because I think that by saying, well, I have imposter syndrome can very easily fall into excuse territory for not making critical decisions or not raising up to a challenge that it might be hard. Sure, you might fail. So?
I like that.
So what?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. I like that kind of reframe of feelings, because it makes me think. I talked about therapy in the last episode.
Yes, we're
But
going to do it.
I do remember, just thinking through with my therapist that, you can feel something or you think something, you don't have to believe it.
Right.
And I think that kind of reframes it as like, it's not actually a thing that you have. It's a feeling that you're having, and you can choose what to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning you can, not everything you say is necessarily true. Is that
Like, meaning that, sure, or meaning that not everything that you think is necessarily true.
Sure.
And that you can decide that you are an imposter, or you could decide that today my next step is going to not reflect being an imposter. I'm just going to do the thing I have to do. And put that feeling, categorize it as like that's not a true
acknowledging
thing,
it in that's how I was feeling in that moment, or have been feeling over this period of time. I can think of a really specific, and I probably can't share it here because it's kind of personal, but I can think of something specifically just as early as last night where I had a tough conversation with a friend, and I was really thinking about it afterwards and reflecting on it. And my brain started to spiral into just some really terrible negative self-talk, and in some ways feeling culpable or responsible. And I didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. It was just a misunderstanding. We worked it out. But I could have chosen to stay on that train of the negative self-talk. Sure. And just because I think those things in my head for that period of time, I'm putting words into their mouth that they didn't say.
Right.
Right. They didn't say those things. And so that's, I think, the key difference is not everything that we think, not everything that we say is necessarily true. And if we can start from there, then you said something earlier about faking it till we make it.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's some truth to that.
That was my number one go-to. Just fake it till you make it. And advice, that was always my advice to teachers too.
Well, I think that there's some research starting to show that from an energetic standpoint that there's some truth behind that phrase. Acting as if you are the boss that you want to be, acting as if you are at the level that you are aiming for, or where you want to be in terms of, growing your business or whatever it is that you want to do. That if you can energetically find yourself in a place where you can see yourself and visualize and embody like what that would feel like to, be in that place where you're trying to get to, that you are actually getting closer to it just by focusing on it and thinking about it. And unfortunately, the reverse is true.
Yeah.
So if you are in your mind's eye visualizing yourself as an imposter, as somebody who doesn't have, we were going through some of the feelings that came up earlier, maybe that you don't deserve a seat at that table, or that you don't have the right credentials. For some, I know a lot of designers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
There's a lot of designers that said, oh, I don't have a formal education or degree. This is a second career sort of switch and move. Very relatable. There's a lot of members like that that come from that place. And so feeling like they don't have the, letters at the end of their signature line to give them those credentials. So, but realizing that those aren't necessarily requirements to be able to do what you want to do really well. That said, I am somebody who is a classically trained interior designer, and I very much do value my education, but I can also look at hundreds of examples of very successful interior designers who never went to school for a day in their life. So it's just kind of a different path. I mean, there's people who grew up in it. There's people who just have this natural inclination. I also went to college with plenty of designers in my program that they had no business being in that degree. They just didn't have what it took, in my opinion. Just like, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think like what ultimately ends up mattering is the outcome, right? I think like in interior designer case, that would be the product, the home renovation, the interior design project. In my case, it was, student outcomes. And I mean, when was the last time that you had a client ask you where you went to school?
It's funny you say that. Until yesterday, literally never. Literally
we
never.
should have recorded this podcast 2 days ago.
If you'd asked me before yesterday, I'd say never. Nobody's ever asked me. But it was kind of a unique case. There was a gentleman in the industry, the commercial design side, who was looking to hire us. And so it made sense that he would have those questions. But anyway, my point is, very rarely.
I mean, I could see though, and in my case, it would have been the same way. Like it can build confidence to, have that background. But I think there's many places that you can get that confidence as well, right? Being, having success with some clients or taking some continuing education classes to make sure that you're up to date on, I think there's a lot of ways that you can build that confidence that don't necessarily have to be through that.
Hey, friend, if your business is working, but it's heavier than it should be, listen up. I want to invite you to explore the fully revamped Interior Designer's Business Blueprint, my signature program developed specifically for interior design business owners who are serious about earning a great income without the hustle and burnout. The Interior Designer's Business Blueprint isn't just for new designers. It's for designers who are ready to refine, elevate, and operate with intention. Inside the IDBB, you'll clarify your positioning, streamline your services, strengthen your brand voice, and build a focused marketing system that attracts higher quality clients. Whether you're laying the foundation or auditing an established firm, this is about tightening the bolts so your business runs clearer, more profitably, and with more confidence. This fully revamped version includes a smart guided workbook, concise bite-sized video lessons, and built-in AI prompts that help you articulate your value clearly and strategically, not generically. And when you join, you'll receive a free month inside the Designer's Oasis membership, giving you live coaching, community, and a deep resource library so you don't just think about change, you can implement it. If you're ready to stop operating reactively and start leading strategically, doors are opening soon. You can learn more and join the waitlist at designersoasis.com/join. Friend, there is a seat waiting for you at tables you haven't even seen yet. This is your invitation to step into that version of yourself that is ready to showcase your talents to the world. I hope you'll join us. Head over to designersoasis.com/join to learn more now. So I think what I'm trying to say is there's kind of two ways to approach this imposter syndrome, imposter phenomenon, imposter feelings. And I think there's, one path, and I think we need to be doing both kind of at the same time. There's this one path of like, okay, fill in those knowledge gaps where it's really important, right? If you don't know how to use CAD or SketchUp or whatever, and that's important to you, then go learn it or hire somebody that can do it, or take some design courses to help your confidence, or business courses. Because for some people, it's not the design part, it's more of the business side of things that feels really complicated. And that's definitely where I was when I started my own business. But then there's the other side of it, which is really being focused on our internal dialogue, our self-talk, and thinking about our energy and where we are putting it, and really not allowing yourself to get stuck in the imposter syndrome phase for too long, because that's going to keep you from progress. Yeah. Making those right next steps.
I think you can kind of train your brain to recognize it, and then maybe think through some like prompts that would make you kind of get over the hurdle of what is in the imposter syndrome. So, yeah.
I know affirmations are really woo-woo and like kind of cheesy, but I kind of like them.
Do you have any?
Well,
specifically for this?
No, but I mean, I could. I think what is kind of cool is that I'm a science nerd. I like the research. So there's a lot of research out there that shows how impactful affirmations are and how beneficial they are. So if that's something that you're inclined to do, what I will typically do is there's some podcasts, there's some YouTube, there's a lot of free content out there that has affirmations type of work, but that is, in a way, that is a big part of retraining your brain.
Yeah.
We learned not that long ago that neuroplasticity exists and that our brain can be rewired. We can create new neural pathways. And a lot of times that imposter syndrome isn't unique to this one experience. This is sometimes a lifetime of messaging that maybe we received as a child, not to get too therapeutic here, but maybe there were things that you were told that you've held on to subconsciously, and you're carrying that with you into your place now. And that's where these voices come in that aren't really serving you.
Yeah.
And so by doing things like affirmations or meditations, or there's, other things, we can start to create new neural pathways where our brain more naturally looks at these challenges with excitement and applying creativity. So if you missed our last episode, we talked about the business case for nurturing creativity. And so that's kind of how this ties into all of this. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that we have the ability to do that if we will do that work to say, you know what, sure, I maybe don't feel completely confident in this area, but I'm getting there and I'm right where I need to be. And the comparison game between who we're following on Instagram, it has got to kind of take a backseat to this work, because this is really, really important work.
Yeah. From kind of the other side of, I think it's so funny when you say you're kind of woo-woo. Sometimes because I do have this challenge sometimes, I do have trouble like saying good things, nice things about myself. I think that is a challenge some people have. So a way that I've kind of worked around that is, having a close circle, and when I'm feeling these feelings coming in, asking them to say some nice things about me, or say some things that they have appreciated about work that I've done, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think it gets to the same kind of brain science a little bit of like hearing the positive things and like helping you be able to combat the imposter feelings.
I love that you're willing to ask that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can be kind of direct and knowing what I need. And so even after the first episode, I was like, Kate, tell me I did good.
Oh yeah, you did ask that.
Just because that's going to be what helps me do it again. Even if it wasn't real.
You did great.
And then you think you can do it because you heard the words, the more time that you spend thinking about the positive side or the positive outcomes that you can have, I do think it changes the way that you actually think about it and what you might do next,
Well, doesn't this come back to the visualization piece, right? It's like when you can start to see yourself in the exact position that you want to be in, or picture the exact outcome that you want to have. I had to have a really, tough budget conversation with some clients recently. I was super nervous going into that conversation, and I visualized how the conversation went.
Oh, I like that.
I wanted to make sure that the clients walked away continuing to feel trust for us, and also feeling like we had their best interest at hand, and that we're just here to lay out options. And this is really a decision for them to make in terms of what they wanted to do. I mean, listeners are going to know budgets always come back more than what the clients want. And it's like, it's really put pen to paper. We're often left, being the person to say, like, this is what it's actually going to take to get you there. Do we want to reevaluate anything? Whatever. So it's like, it's being in that position, and it's never really fun, but it's a really important one.
Yeah.
And so visualizing that conversation was really important to me, being able to show up with those clients with the kind of confidence that I needed for them to continue to trust. Because if I showed up and I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, like, I can keep checking away at this and find ways to, trim the budget and cut the design. And, so it's like, look, no, this just is what it is. And
how did it go?
It went great. Okay. They're still trying to decide what they're going to ultimately do. Is they're going to go for the full shebang, or whether they're going to come with their original vision. But, this often happens. Clients come to us with an initial, I don't know, we might be getting off topic here, but come to us with an initial vision of what they want to do and a budget that they have in mind. But then we get our hands on it. We're like, if we're going to do this, we're going to need to do that. And this, and like, have you thought about doing this? And it's like, and if you do it all together, it's going to be pretty freaking amazing. And then they're like, sure, how much is it going to cost? You're like, 5 times what you were thinking. And they're like, yes, let's go for it. So you have to have confidence going into those conversations. So if you are stuck in imposter feelings, then you cannot show up as the boss that you truly need to be for people to start to be able to trust you with bigger projects and with their money.
Right. Yeah. Your story really made me think of a few hard conversations that I had to have as a principal, and thinking, is there another adult in the room that's going to do this hard one? And it's like, nope. It's time. We're gonna, and the anecdote that you gave around saying the numbers with confidence and not saying like, oh, I can look at this and I can look at that, resonated so hard with me, because I had a couple, there would maybe a couple of kiddos that were not on track to finishing the school year with all of their credits, and there has to be a point at which the decision has been made, and, waffling back and forth makes people uncertain that you know what you're doing, and you lose trust. So that really resonated with me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had to have a hard conversation, but you couldn't come to that table on the fence.
Right. That's right. That's right. There's been, yes.
Well, okay. So we've talked about kind of maybe reframing what imposter syndrome is, maybe choosing different language, and really reframing it as, this is a temporary feeling.
Yeah.
Just because you're thinking this or feeling this way doesn't mean it's actually true. Is this really true? Is often a good question to start with. But I think I would like for us to just talk about what can we do now that when we find ourselves feeling this way, because I don't want to diminish anyone's experience or their feelings. I said off the top, this is something I feel like I've experienced, but now that we've established, okay, it's not good to stay there. And it's also not good to sort of use that as a crutch for too long, because I think that will also get in your way of taking the right next step.
Yeah.
And I have this little card over here on my desk that says, I only ever have to do the right next thing. And I think we are sometimes conditioned to think that, everything that we do in business or design or whatever has to be very strategic. And there's so much pressure that we put on ourselves to like, A, know what the right next step is, B, be able to see the total end goal. Sometimes we can't see the end goal completely. Sometimes where we land or where we end up being is way better than anything we could have imagined. So just really allowing yourself to stay present and focused on how, okay, you can have goals, right? We can set goals. We can give ourselves a pathway for getting to the place where we want to be. But then we have to kind of let, I think, a little bit of our grip of control of exactly how that's going to look to get there, and just a little bit of trust that things are going to work out. Even if you don't have all the answers, even if you don't know everything, you will get there. You're right where you need to be. And, really paying attention to comparison and finding, what does your inner dialogue sound like when you are scrolling Instagram?
Yeah.
And stalking other designers and their websites, right?
You don't do
They are
that.
on a different path. They are having their own experience. And so are you. And what you bring to the table is incredibly valuable. And let's focus on that.
I think that is so helpful, because it's like, sometimes if you think about it so holistically, it can feel really big, and that really could feed into those thoughts of like, this is so big that I can't do it. Where if you kind of shrink it down to steps, if you are looking at just the next thing, well, I can do that, and then,
manageable.
the next step, like I can do that.
Yeah.
So I can imagine how that would really help especially when you're thinking about a big project, like a whole interior design scope.
Yes. I can't tell you how many coaches I've left out when they've asked me, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like, girl, what's for dinner? I have never been able to answer that 5-year plan question. And I can do 3. 3 feels good. But 5 years, I'm like, that's too far. I don't know. And they don't like that I don't want to answer that. And I'm like, I don't know. It's too far.
Well, connects to our first episode of like permission to pivoting,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like,
maybe
you
it's
don't
baby
have
in the
to-
corner.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I want to change my mind.
Maybe I want to go from being a biochemistry major to working for an entire interior designer. Who knows?
The world is your oyster.
The world.
You
is your
never
oyster.
know who you're going to meet tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah. You don't know that the world will turn on its head when you go pick up your kids today. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah.
So we talked about, before we hopped on, what are some things that we can do? So let's review some of those. One of the things I said was flipping the script. And flipping the script to me is just about being really mindful of how we're talking to ourselves, maybe not using the word imposter syndrome, but say, okay, I'm going to think of something that we hear a lot, which is I have imposter syndrome because I don't have a formal degree in interior design. What do they call it? I don't know. New to the industry. And that is why they have imposter syndrome. And I think a different way of approaching that is, instead of saying I have imposter syndrome, which is going to just cause you to get stuck because you don't have these credentials, I would ask you to, first of all, pause and look at, can you point to other examples where there are people who have done what you're trying to do? You can probably find plenty of examples. But also flipping the script about where you think you need to be. You are right where you are, period. Your journey's different than the person next to you.
Yeah.
And something has led you to this moment. There has been something stirring inside of you, a little fire that is starting to be tended to. And there's a real drive to do this. In this case, we're talking to interior designers and being able to have this creative practice. What led you here? What are the signs that have pointed you here? You're not here by accident. You're here because you have a gift that you are wanting to share with others. Are you going to let a piece of paper that, be the thing that keeps you from taking that right next step? Or are you going to find a way to fill in those educational gaps, right? Maybe you don't have the time or the budget to go to a 4-year, accredited program university, but you can still get a really great education in other ways and start right from where you are. So flipping the script for me is finding ways to change how you approach these limiting beliefs. If you've ever looked at your to-do list and thought, cool, so I'll just work harder forever, or wondered why your business somehow requires more effort, more strategy, and more Instagram reels, I want to invite you to pause. Starting on March 9th, I'm hosting a 4-day experience for interior designers like you. If you're done pushing and ready to build a business that actually fits into the life you're trying to create, I hope you'll join us. The event is called the Business Blueprint Reset. Every morning for 3 days, you'll get a short, mindset-focused video delivered directly to your inbox, along with a writing prompt to help you get clear on what really matters for you in this season. It's an invitation to get quiet, turn off the noise, and turn into your inner wisdom that's been there all along. On day 4, you'll join us for a live debrief workshop where we'll connect the dots and talk about what's really going on and what to do next. This is not a hustle challenge, a post 3 times a day boot camp, or a high pressure sales funnel. This is a focused reset designed to help you think clearly about the business you're building and why. Tickets start at just $25 when you register early, and spots are limited. Head over to designersoasis.com/reset to register and learn more. If you're craving clarity, fewer face palms, and a business that doesn't feel like a never-ending group project, come join us. One more time, that's designersoasis.com/reset to learn more. See you there.
I liked your example earlier when you talked about your example earlier made me think of somebody said to me once, dress for the job you want. I don't know what I think of the anecdote itself, but it just makes me think of like,
so you're saying them in sweats?
But what it made me connect to this flip the script is like you could tell yourself you're an imposter, or you can decide that I'm not, that I am this amazing interior design. You get to flip that script. You get to decide. You get to dress for the job you want.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. So I'm hearing you say like, well, that's a decision.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Okay, without oversharing too much of my kids' personal information, but one of my kids had this habit of waking up every morning and not wanting to go to school, and frustrated with some stuff at school, totally understandable, but would say things like, "Oh, it's just gonna be a terrible day," and it's like, well, probably if you're talking like that, So
yes.
I think you said it earlier. There's a phrase. What was it?
There's a saying. It's like whether
you think you can,
whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in how you frame it.
Right. What you decide to do with that.
I just need a little reframe.
Yeah. I like it. You got this. All right. Well, what's next? What else?
Well, we also talked about not trying to have the, 100-yard view?
Oh, 10,000,
10,000-yard view. What's the phrase? I make stuff up.
I don't know, but take the next.
Just take the right next step.
And then the right next step.
Just what information do you have today? What do you know right now?
Yes.
And how can you use what information you have today, taking the next right step, knowing that you can pivot, knowing that it might be wrong.
Yeah.
You might change your mind. You might wish you'd done something different, but you can only do work with what you have today. And so there's no sense in allowing yourself to get so stuck in indecision or just these feelings of inadequacy that are going to hold you back.
I thought I was going to sneeze. Coming good.
I thought you had something really profound to say. I thought you were so moved by my words that I was like, doing my little hair flip over here. I'm like, yes, girl, take this to church. No, you were just going to sneeze.
Okay. But it was profound. So profound that I was about to sneeze. Okay.
I'll let you take the next one.
All right. Yeah. So one thing that I think about is and I talked about it already, is how if you are having feelings that you're an imposter, a thing that you can do is just like do something hard, and it builds your confidence. And then when it comes again, it's easier. And you're not telling yourself then that story that you can't do it because now you've done something hard. And I loved what you shared when I had that idea.
Oh, what did I share?
Oh, you shared that like sometimes it doesn't even have to be doing the hard thing. That if you reflect back on a time that you've done something hard, that it can also help you, recall. Well, you talked about it very scientific, but in layman's terms, that for me,
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And you're the second one with a science degree.
That in layman's terms is that you recall back a thing that you did that was hard, and that builds confidence and kind of fights this idea of being an imposter. And I like the idea of thinking of it as like fighting the imposter idea, because the imposter, I'm not mad at people that have the feeling of imposter syndrome, because it's like in the water. It's like how we operate. And I think that having tools to fight against it, having prompts when you feel it coming on, and like making yourself aware to what are the things that I'm saying to myself when I think that I'm not good enough to be in a space. And then how can I prompt myself out of that with remembering a hard thing that I've done, with trying a small step in the direction.
Right. And we know that because we know that 95% of our thoughts are subconscious.
Yes.
So you can, so your brain truly doesn't know the difference between if you're actually doing a hard thing or if you're visualizing and imagining yourself doing something really hard. So what's really cool about that is that, you can choose to, go do something really hard, something really challenging, because that's going to help boost your confidence. And I think that is a great approach. But also if you need like a really quick fix and you don't have time, if you can just simply visualize yourself either something you've actually done in the past or something you would like to do. I don't know, walk a fucking tightrope. I can't talk. Just the act of visualizing it and thinking about it, your subconscious brain truly doesn't understand the difference, but it can still have that same effect of just like feeling more confident in moving forward. Yeah. With what it is. What hard things are you going to do then? Well, I think about some hard things too.
Wow. What hard things am I going to do?
Sit down to deal with taxes. I can do hard things.
Oh man, what a fun thing to do! Actually,
it's like I pay somebody to do this. I'm like, I got to still get all the stuff together.
All the things.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. My brain just goes to things that are like athletic. Like I can do a half marathon. I'm not going to do that. I've done one though, so I can recall it.
You can think about the time that you completed a marathon.
Half,
whatever. It's got the word marathon in it. I have not done anything that has the word marathon in it. Unless we're talking about sleep deprivation. Okay, that's for another story. So do a hard thing. Or
do a hard thing.
Think about a time when you did a really hard thing or overcame something really challenging too.
Yeah.
That's good. What else, Becca? What else do we have to share?
I think we're ready to wrap. No? Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, a couple things. We are coming up on the spring reset, which is going to be great. What are we going to do for the spring reset? Tell us about it.
I'm so excited for this event. So what the spring reset is, it's a 4-day guided experience for you. So you can sign up on our website. We have tickets available right now. You can go to designersoasis.com/reset. And what is going to happen when you sign up is starting on March 9th, we'll have a 3-day they're guided. So you're going to receive a video every day, one every morning for 3 days on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. Yep. And inside is going to be some mindset work. We're going to talk about some of these ideas around what might be holding us back, what might be some of those things that are bubbling under the surface that are keeping us from fully showing up or taking that next big step or taking a chance on ourselves or somebody else. Anyway, And then alongside those will be some writing prompts. So real short video plus a writing prompt to help kind of get you guided into this place. This is an invitation to be quiet with yourself and allow you to give yourself the opportunity to think about some of these things or see what's coming up for you. And then on day 4, we will do a live debrief where we will talk about as a group what came up. Well, how do we feel about them? What are we going to do about them? How are we going to sort of move past some of that? So it's a totally new format. I've never done anything quite like this, but I was really, over the last couple of years, I've really just been focused on tuning into our own internal wisdom. Nobody can tell you exactly what you need, how you need to design your business so that it supports you in the way that you envision your life. And I don't feel like it's fair for any teacher or guru or coach to tell somebody exactly what formula they need to have it all figured out. That is truly something that has to come from within. And I think this is the starting place for it. Yeah. So it's really just kind of like an opportunity to come back to some of those thoughts. But I'm excited to share it with folks and hope it resonates.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cool opportunity to kind of think about how to get over some hurdles that might be kind of holding you back and truly do a reset on your business a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about the community aspect of it too, and us getting together and talking about it, because I think we can get a lot of validation when we see other folks who are struggling with the same thing, or they've been through something similar. That can feel really validating. I'm going to pause for a second because we didn't talk about the community aspect and how community and living in community and being in a good, strong community can also help you move through imposter feelings for that exact reason. Because I feel like when you do surround yourself with people who get it, in this case, we're talking about interior design, business ownership. When you find yourself in community with other people who get that, I think that there's an ability to feel seen in a way that we just can't get from our spouse or our sister or friend or whatever. That, it really takes somebody who's been in this business to say, oh, I know what that's like.
Yeah. I truly think community is everything. Like, helps us move forward, helps us with our mental health, helps us with imposter syndrome. I mean, I really do. And so what a great opportunity to be in community with folks as we're thinking through some of these hurdles.
Awesome.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay. And then would also encourage you just to subscribe to our email list if you haven't yet. And you can do that by going in the show notes and checking that out. And just wanted to give you a couple of opportunities. I'll be a teacher forever. So a couple of opportunities to continue to deepen your thinking. Kate has some great episodes in the podcast library that I think would be really great if you want to continue to think about this topic. A couple specific ones. Episode 26, raising your design fees without the ick. Episode 28, on how limiting beliefs might be holding you back. Episode 30, the perfectionism trap, are some good episodes to check out if you want to continue thinking through this and thinking about how these ideas and thoughts can really help you in your design business.
And that's awesome. Thanks for pulling those up. We will be sure to link to them in the show notes.
Great.
I will also just wrap up by saying I'll be at High Point. So if you're going to be there, send us a message, and we'll typically try to do some sort of a little meetup with folks. So if you let us know you're there, we'll get you in the group chat.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Becca.
you.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for sharing part of your day with us. If this episode resonated, one of the best ways you can show your support is by taking a moment to rate and review the podcast. Those reviews truly help the podcast get found so we can continue bringing you the more honest conversations, fresh perspectives, and new episodes. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, we'd love for you to share this episode with a friend or fellow designer who might need to hear it. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.